Alright, this is going to be the kit that me and my people are running for Desert Brutality 2022. Little disclaimer, it's not necessarily the best kit, it's the kit we're running. A lot of the decisions are budget related. There are 3 of us going. We're running in 3 different classes. I'm running Trooper Armored. I have someone running Trooper Not Armored, Trooper Partisan, and we have someone running just Partisan. So we have the most minimalist kit for Partisan, a bit more stuff for Trooper, and even more crap for Armored Trooper. I'm going to start out with my kit for Armored Trooper. Once again, we talk about this being a budget build. LA Police Gear Plate Carrier. It is astonishingly good for something at a $70 price point. It's a $70 price point. You kind of take a bit what you can get. But really, it works fine. About the only real complaint I have is that it is one size fits all. And that size is like the average person who is kind of big. And I am not that big. I'm not a tiny guy. I'm like just shy of 200 pounds and 5'10". And to adjust it to where the plates sit at the correct height, this space that would be in the center here would have been covered with a shoulder pad that came with it. You can't use it if it's adjusted for my height at all, which is fine. The padded bits here reach all the way to the center. It fits. But for my comfort, I bought a set of these ice vents shoulder pads, which are fantastic. Cost as much as the entire plate carrier. Which hurts the budget thing a bit, except you kind of need shoulder pads for any plate carrier of some sort, and the ones that come with really good ones are also kind of expensive plate carriers. And it was okay with the shoulder pads that came with it. But this gets the plates up higher, and is more comfy, and there's some ventilation for sweating. It's fine. Of course, in here are some LA Police Gear plates, which are $100 ceramic level 3+ plates, which I know is kind of controversial. People act like, oh, you don't know if they're going to stop bullets. Well, there's a million friggin' YouTube videos of them stopping all sorts of rifle bullets. Yeah, the ceramic stops an inch before you get to the edge, so you have just the ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene armor from there on out. It would stop pistol rounds, it does something, but yeah. The actual rifle protection does not extend quite to the edge of the plate, but it's pretty close, it's pretty good, and they're $100. It's a 5-pound plate that cost $100. That's cheaper than 10-pound steel plates that don't even stop all the same threats. I can't really complain about that. Okay, so the rest of the stuff on here, this is one of those sort of plate carriers that has no quick release abilities whatsoever. Well, okay, it has little quick releases up here. They're annoying in that you can't really use it for donning and doffing because you kind of have to click them together with the plate carrier off. It could be used in an emergency, like if you fall into the ocean. I'll try not to do that, because I also kind of wrapped some additional Velcro around them that makes it where they don't function. It's part of where I'm attaching my shoulder pads. Oh well, I could pull my breath a long time anyways, and also, I'm not going to fall in the ocean. Very little ocean in Utah. It has this sort of Velcro attachment that is pretty common up here. Now, a lot of plate carriers have this. That's all the attachment they have. It's almost certainly adequate. This one, well, the permanently attached MOLLE front panel Velcros down over it. And then there's another Velcro tab that goes all the way up onto the inside. It's super secure, way more secure than it needs to be. I've actually considered cutting off that extra flap there because I don't need it. But, you know, the effort to cut it off when it's not really causing a problem, it's still there. I've attached the MOLLE front panel in the front. little triple mag pouch. These are these triple ones that you could actually double stack a mag in. I'm only carrying 3 mags here, because once again, this is Desert Brutality kit. I'm carrying the stuff I need for the thing. Do I need more? Maybe for a practical kit, you might want to carry more magazines, but this will do it. I don't really need to carry tons of extra weight with my plate carrier. I'm already carrying enough crap. Little admin pouch with like candy, 5-hour energy, other little things you need while you're going about. A water bladder. This is the Source water bladder, hose, drinking system, which is cool in that it has a cover so you don't ram this into the dirt over and over again and then wrap your lips around it versus the normal CamelBak that I had before. That, and also it's a wide bladder, which fits well in here. So the traditional CamelBak shape is long and skinny and would be significantly longer than this pouch. This one is wide and fits this shape, this little flat pack, quite well. El Cheapo Amazon flat pack. Water bladder goes in the back. There is a large compartment that I have nothing in other than a poncho, because I overestimated how much space I was going to need. I could have done with a more minimalist hydration holder, but I didn't. I have this already. Here it is. I attached a piece of extra loop material to the back when I had a first aid kit stuck on there. I don't anymore. The back I'll have like food and stuff in this pouch, which you don't need that much food for all day. Trooper does require you to bring all the food you'll need during the match, but like, you can have breakfast beforehand, have dinner afterwards. I don't need to bring that much food to eat during the day. I also have, down here on the side, I kind of like modded this a bit by putting an extra little strap on here to pull it downward, just to make the rear plate sit a bit higher, which some really high-end plate carriers are specifically designed to do that. But even a lot of relatively expensive ones are just symmetrical front to back, and I like a setup that's designed to raise the back plate a bit higher, relatively speaking, because otherwise it sits too low on me. Otherwise this fits, it's pretty comfortable. The total weight on this thing with all the ammo, water, about to be like in the low 20s. Not too bad. The rest of my gear, which is kinda actually heavy, because I tried to shift as much weight from the plate carrier to the belt as possible. So I have completely unnecessary short sword, but I like it. And it is an astonishingly good sword. It works good for like cutting practice, and you have to carry a knife of at least 4 inches at Desert Brutality. It meets the requirement, and I like it. Dump pouch to be a dump pouch. One and only one rifle mag on the belt. Spot could hold more if I was doing a more practical kit, but I'm never going to need more than 4 magazines rifle rounds on any one round, and the requirement to bring is 4. 3 pistol mags right there. These sort of like double rifle pouches perfectly hold 3 Glock mags, which is convenient because I don't need a separate thing for more pistol mags. Related to which, I got this holster here. This was found at the surplus store, Blackhawk holster. I like the whole flap holster thing, gives a little bit of extra protection. And we unbuckle that. You can Velcro itself up there out of the way, and then there's a thumb brake down here. So you got double retention. That's a critical Desert Brutality kind of thing, is you really don't want your pistol falling out. You're going to do physical stuff. Now, some of the events, they had things, people like flipping upside down and things, and if your pistol falls out, you get disqualified. Doesn't matter whether it creates a dangerous situation specifically, even if it's unloaded, a drop pistol, that's DQ. We don't want that happening, so I got double retention here. This, in theory, has a mag pouch on it. I can't use it because I have an optic on my pistol, and I had to cut a little notch in here to kind of relieve that a bit so the pistol would fit in there with the optic. Overall, very happy with this. Not fully a drop leg, but just like slightly lowered pistol holster. Leg strap to stabilize it. Been very comfortable. It's good. It's not a universal holster. It would not work if I had a light on the pistol. But I just need a light. This whole match is during the day. Over on the back, we have the required first aid kit. Slightly reduced down from the massively oversized first aid kit I had before. Some little rip-off Velcro thing. But it has all the compliance stuff, plus a handful of extra bits and pieces of things I feel I should have in a first aid kit. I am technically a paramedic, and I have a couple little things that would be beyond just basic first aid in here. I'm not going to go that in detail in here. The whole point is this is relatively light, and it fits on the belt, and not in the plate carrier, so I'm not loading more weight on my shoulders. In the main pouch, I have just some basic sustainment stuff. Got a pair of gloves and some glasses, a pair of extra socks. Could probably tuck some additional food in there on the event day. I have not packed all the food into it yet. There's tons of room for food on the pouch on the back of the plate carrier. And here I have a little tool pouch, which is Leatherman, some tape, a little bit of cord. I got all the critical little tools for adjusting all the optics and whatnot on the guns, spare batteries for the optics. I have it tucked away in the very bottom of the middle pouch. Not pulling it out right now, but I have a complete extra bolt carrier that pretty confident I don't need. Everyone says it's pretty silly to bring an extra bolt carrier. That's not something that fails that often. But it's there to be a nice security blanket. I know that if something goes terribly wrong, I'm not just completely screwed. The outer pouches have all my loose ammo. There's a bunch of rifle ammo, a bunch of pistol ammo, and the awesome OE Glock loading tool. You can reload between rounds. So that is all of the kit that I'm wearing for my load-bearing gear and armor. I do have a very cheap but astonishingly comfortable FMA bump helmet. That's like, you know, one of the little knockoff of the Ops Corps helmets. It's comfortable, it's light, it has some actual shock absorbing foam in there. Mainly that is a compliance item because you have to have a helmet for armored class. I have tactical pants, built-in knee pads. I like built-in knee pads. Not everyone does. As I may have mentioned before, I am 5'10". It tends to put things at exactly the right place on them because I am a very average size person. If you're less average size, these tend to not line up with your knees. One of the other people in our group is running just external knee pads strapped on. That kind of thing is fine. But this works great for me, and it's very low hassle. Those are also a LA Police Gear item. They make pretty good fabric items at very cheap prices. Also have their shirt with built-in elbow pads. Same idea. They don't get in the way, they don't fall off randomly, they don't get caught and stuff. I barely notice they're there, but most of the time, if I slam my elbows into the ground, usually there's a pad in between me and the ground, which is good. I've had my elbows bleeding from going out and going prone repeatedly when I didn't have pads, and that kind of sucked. So now that we've gone through like some basic stuff, we have like possibly the more cool stuff. So we got guns. This is my take on, hey, the What Was Stoner rifle is really, really cool. But what if I only have $500? So this is as close as I get to that. And a lot of people say, oh, this is like, what would Stoner do? Ask rifle. And it's like, well, it's a KP-15, and I guess the rest of it isn't super heavy, and really that's all there is to it. This is a Arms KP-15, the mil-spec one with all the parts pre-installed. Cheap, easy, it is spectacularly light. Anderson slick-sided upper. It doesn't have a forward assist. It doesn't even have a dust cover. I'll be fine. No worries. It was also really cheap. Some Prisma handguard that was like a clearance of their old one, and it is pretty light. Obviously nowhere near as light as the carbon fiber ones. It's 1/10 the price of the carbon fiber handguard. Like, what do you want? And then, like, that's all there is to the upper. This is the NBS light profile barrel. The same weight as basically all the other light profile barrels. It seems accurate enough. I haven't had any problem shooting it. It's like $70 cheaper than the Ballistic Advantage one, or the $100 cheaper than the Faxon lightweight. The Faxon lightweight one actually is lighter. This is like the same weight as the one from Ballistic Advantage. I got this little shark fin hand stop. The handguard kind of got hot there, because it's a slim handguard, and it's kind of close to the gas block. So I thought, hey, I'll get this. At the last event, it was actually, pretty useful. It makes a good little barricade stop. It's light. It was also a super cheap random item off of Amazon, running a SIG Romeo 5X, which is the one that used the AAA battery, and it's permanently at like the AR kind of height. It's a red dot. It works. What more can I say? And I got the Juliet 3x magnifier there. Had a lot of debates on whether or not I was going to bother bringing this. There's nothing over 200 yards. It's like 10 ounces extra weight with the mount. I can handle that. It brings the rifle up to just over 7 pounds with all the optics and the sling. Which is another cheap knockoff quick adjust sling. But it's fine. And it works. Pistol. Started out as a Glock 34. I'm like, that's great. Then I wanted an optic. It's like, well, what's the cheapest way I could possibly get into an optic? And I found a clearance sale on a pre-cut slide that came with a bunch of windows I don't necessarily need cut into it. But it was a $100 pre-cut slide. And stuck on top of it a $100 Aid Stingray optic. It is an always-on dot that just adjusts its brightness based on the ambient brightness to, in theory, preserve battery life when it's tucked away in a case. Still on its first battery. It works fine. It holds 0. I've taken it through a few matches and a bunch of practice days. I have witness marks on both of those screws. That way it doesn't, hopefully, get out of whack at the event. I got the tools to fix it if need be. What can I say? It's a red dot, and it works, and it's been working, and it was $100. I still have the original Glock 34 barrel on here, even though it's now a Glock 17 slide. I guess I still also have the extended slide release, lighter trigger, and extended mag release that came with the Glock 34. But otherwise, since the defining feature of a 34 is that it has a long slide, it's mostly a 17 now. But hey, that works. Alright. That's the first kit. That's my kit. Alright. So my partner is running Partisan Trooper, and they have most of their excess gear all in a bag with like a cool tactical sloth sticker. They have a similar sort of first aid kit on a Velcro thing that they can tear off, stuck to the side of the pack, which they can reach while wearing the pack, which is in the rules. And the pack is a very simple way of doing this. food, all the extra ammo and stuff, jacket, whatever they need, all just dumped in a pack. This is yet another LA police gear item. It has, its area for hydration, regular Camelback in this one, but this is a regular Camelback sized hydration pouch, which is handy. So we have a whole bunch of Camelback reservoirs floating around. Well, not Camelback brand, because of course not, but they match the same size. Standard hydration bladders. Very simple solution. This came out to be a good bit lighter than the plate carrier, and it's also holding a much larger percentage of her gear. I have like the minimal amount of stuff on my plate carrier, more stuff on my belt. She's running a lot less stuff on her belt, and basically all the excess stuff other than the things that you're using immediately are all in here. All the stuff you just have to carry with you for Trooper Day, stowed in the backpack. So, the belt setup has almost nothing actually on the belt. Particular body shape. Has her waist up really high and kind of hard to access. You like seeing some of the old videos probably. You see her trying to draw a pistol that's actually on her belt and struggling like crazy because that's a very awkward position. This is effectively so high up. So her belt is essentially just acting as an anchor for two different drop leg setups. There is the required 4-inch fixed blade knife on here, which is actually a rather fantastic little diving knife with very solid click-in retention. Just something we had lying around. It meets the requirement. It's on the belt. There we go. She has a proper drop leg holster that brings it quite far down. Needs a nice little leg strap to hold it in place. It has a mag pouch on the front, and it is a adjustable, universal, cheap holster. But it does fit with an optic, unlike my slightly higher quality one that wasn't universal and didn't fit with the optic. So it was adjusted, fits well with the optic, and it has both a thumb brake and a second strap that goes over the top and velcros on. So if you bump the thumb brake, you're not going to have your pistol falling out while you're running and climbing and doing all the other stuff you do at Desert Brutality. Pistol ain't coming out. Doesn't also have the full flap thing, but it'll do. On the other side, she has basically the same triple mag pouch I have on the front of my plate carrier, but two of them are used for rifle mags, each one of which has 2 rifle mags in it. These are the Saiga mags, the original OE Saiga mags, in 10 rounds that only fit the Saiga, not regular AKs, which I'm stuck with because of the situation. And then 3 Glock mags over here. That is enough mags to finish a round. Usually she'll go ahead and start out with a loaded mag for the rifle on a rifle round. That's enough ammo. It'll do. Alright, the guns my partner will be using. We have a basically completely stock, as imported, Saiga Sporter, which is naturally California legal with this Monte Carlo stock that looks slightly hilarious on an AK, but it works. Has all that awesome AK clunkiness, very positive controls. You lock a mag in. You never have the question of, did I get that mag in all the way? Or have the wonderful experience of not quite putting your AR mag in, running the bolt, and having the mag just fall down. It's like, oh, that sucked. Now, this makes things simple. It's the rifle that they have the most experience with. So, going to their first Desert Brutality, they don't want to mess around with new stuff and extra training to make sure they can run it properly. Sticking with something familiar, they're confident in all their manual of arms and working everything. It has some sort of cheap side mount for optics that we picked up somewhere. I don't even remember what brand it was. It is very solid. I mean, it is completely solid. There are no cutouts in there. So it's kind of heavy. But, what can you do? So even with just the Sig Romeo 5 on there and nothing else, it still comes out to be like an 8.5-pound rifle. What can you do? It's not bad. Yeah, they've been working out a lot. It'll be okay. But it works great. 7.62 by 3.9. Plenty accurate for a competition where nothing is more than 200 yards. It was a struggle last year when I used it on 500-yard targets. I did not get the 500-yard targets. But should be easier at the ranges that we're limited to at this particular event. And her pistol, by far the most gamer of all the pistols we have, a Glock 19 with a optics ready side, a bunch of windows cut out in it, and the same optic I have, which also works fine. I can see the dot. It's been holding 0 through multiple competition days and lots of practice days. Note that it's not waterproof. So if you drop the gun in the ocean, it will probably kill the optic. So we will try to avoid doing that. It's probably like splash resistant. There's like a little rubber piece on the bottom, but it's definitely not like submersion friendly. On the side, we have this beautiful rainbow ported barrel, because they wanted a rainbow. And also, the ported barrels sound kind of interesting. It's one of the AIM surplus ported barrels. Both the sides on both our guns are AIM surplus because they are really cheap for pre-cut slides for optics for Glocks. This works really well. Like, its accuracy's fine. It really cuts recoil a lot. I was actually kind of impressed with how easy follow-up shots are with the ported barrel on the Glock 19. It does what it says on the tin. What can I say? Initial testing, it worked fine, and we discovered once you started shooting, holding it in like weird positions, we were down your side or other stuff like that, it wouldn't always cycle. So we had to put a little bit weaker spring for the main recoil spring, so it has a 15-pound recoil spring in there. And part of the process of doing that, it also has a stainless steel guide rod. So it's well into like gamer pistol territory. But it's fun. What can I say? And it works. That's all her kit. I'm going to blast through the final kit, the most simple version of this. Also, possibly some of the least effective stuff that I have foisted upon a third person that's coming to the event with us. This will be his second match of any kind ever, his first Desert Brutality. So he's going to run Partisan. That's the basic, easiest way to go Desert Brutality. Has the least complicated equipment requirements. It's just the best way to tiptoe into it. Because you don't have to carry tons of stuff throughout the day, but you can run normal modern equipment, you can run optics, no problem. So he doesn't have to carry all his food with him for the day. He doesn't have to carry the entire match worth of ammo with him. He can go and reload his friggin' magazines from the bag in between rounds because he's not subject to the trooper rules. Makes things easier. So he has a basic belt. This is 4 rifle mags, 2 pistol mags, pistol holster, dump pouch. Currently his extra pistol mags are in the dump pouch, so they'll probably just get stowed into a pocket or something on the day of the event. You do still have to carry water for Partisan. He's either going to grab one of the various regular camelbacks we have laying around or just stick a water bottle in his dump pouch. It's fine. A nice compliance first aid kit. Well, I also added the chest seals. Chest seals are cool. Each of us has at least one of those. And another copy of the same diving knife, because my dad gave me a bunch of those back in the day for some reason. His holster is another cheap nylon universal holster. Not fast operating, kind of slow to reholster, but other than that, it holds the gun. And it has the similar sort of thumb snap plus Velcro strap combo where the gun cannot fall out. You can bungee jump. This goes back behind the back strap on the gun. It's really locked in there. And while not high speed, it's good retention, which is critical for the event. So, the gun's foisted upon him. This is the very first AR I ever had. It is a Bear Creek complete upper with a heavy barrel, spiral fluted. Like, it's fancy or something, except it's actually incredibly cheap. It's like a $200 upper. It is their slick sporter upper, which would be cool as a weight-saving feature, except Bear Creek puts like 50% more metal in their upper than anyone else out there. So it's actually heavier than one with all the features on it from basically anyone else. But hey, like I said, it was really cheap. Doesn't even have a brass deflector, which is weird. The slick side from Anderson, it has brass deflector. Bear Creek one? No. Just like, don't stand slightly behind and to the right of the guy shooting this, because they will just like nail you with very high speed brass, because it's also overgassed and it spits that brass out really, really hard. What can I say? Where's the lower and stuff? Like, it is an Anderson lower, but it's otherwise just a bunch of stuff that was at my local gun store. Like, I don't even know what brands they were. They were just like whatever the guy had that he was assembling into lowers at the local store. And people talk a lot of crap about Bear Creek. Oh, they're completely worthless. Never had any problems related to Bear Creek stuff at all. I've had some ammo-related problems. And the only real issue I've had has been the stuff from the local gun store. The full-price items from a local store, supporting a local business. The buffer, not the buffer tube, not the buffer spring, the actual metal bit back and forth from the buffer, the end of it just broke off. The metal just snapped for some reason. We don't know why. It's a very rare thing. I have no idea what brand that buffer was. It just came from the local gun store. What can I say? Also, got some Eastern Bloc-ish Ingman 5.56. Definitely seems to have harder to activate primers. And the trigger spring is a little bit weak on this. And it's fine with every other ammo I run through it. The Ingman, like maybe 1 in 10 will get a light strike. Did the hammer spring, that was the cheap one from the local gun store, become weaker over the 1,500 rounds I put through this? I don't know. Maybe. But it is clearly a little bit weaker than the one that's in the KP-15, at least now. But like I said, I put like 1,500 rounds through it. The Bear Creek El Cheapo upper has been flawless. Extremely accurate. It's easy to be accurate if you have an incredibly heavy barrel. On top of that, we got a UTG 1-8 low-powered variable optic. It is fine. I'm not going to say it's great, because it's not. The eye box can be not the biggest eye box. You have to really get your eye in exactly the right spot if you have it zoomed in. But on one time, it's actually very easy to get in the eye box when it's on one. It's barely worse than a red dot. And you're not going to have to put it up to 8 times for this competition, which is where you start struggling to stay in the eye box. It'll do. And the final thing that we are sticking him with, Springfield XT. Subcompact. Always the best choice for a competition gun is a subcompact, because you don't want to like have your pinky be able to actually grip the gun, right? It's just the gun I happened to have last year for Desert Brutality, because it was what I owned, and it is great function-wise. It's never malfunctioned at all. It shoots perfectly. Everything, it's great. It just is a subcompact, which is not the best thing for competition. And it is the spare pistol that we have that my friend can use at Desert Brutality. So that's what he's going to use. That's all there is to it. I mean, it works fine. He's hitting targets with it. He used it at one match. And that is our whole Desert Brutality kit. We got a lot of relatively affordable stuff, some slightly less affordable stuff. Overall, it's been working well at the matches ahead of time, and we will see how it works out at Desert Brutality 2022.